and welcome to this what I hope is going to be a short editing session. This is an image that I made in Mont Saint Michel in Brittany when I was there before Christmas. So I'm going to take you through the editing process, and this is the same file. So this is a file in its raw state, and I'm going to take you to here, which is the finished product. Hopefully it won't take too long. So we'll go back in, so this is in Photoshop, we'll go back into Capture One. So this is the image in its raw state. It's black and white because I made the image in black and white. If we were to go up with the Fuji raw files on the GFX 50 anyway, normally when you'd start to edit a raw file it changes the color, but the Fuji ones don't, because I have already used one of their styles, and I would have find those styles here, probably Arcos. So if I wanted to maybe work on the color image, I would have to come down and select one of usually it's the Astia. There is negative standard, this one, Provia. So that would be the regular, that would be the color file. So say for instance, if I was to pick that, I would have to go in and adjust the color if I was editing it as a color file. Normally I find the best option is to use the color drop, the white balance tool. That's a bit warm, so I might just cool it down a small little bit. So your starting point would be there. The other way of I find useful for getting color is I pump up the saturation. This lets me see where the dominant hue is. It's quite evident there is a blue cast. So if I was to move the blue slider, or sorry, move the temperature slider away from the cool side, so we just go back to as shot. So it's quite blue, and if I was to move that, what I want to see is I want to see blue, but I also want to see a warmer tone coming through. I don't want to have the image there's too much blue there, so I'd like to see a little bit of color coming through on the sand. So when that blue, and it's just coming through there. So yeah, I think I'd leave it at that. Reset the saturation, and most of the time that will give you a neutral color. So anyway, I'm not editing this in a color image, I'm editing it as that's the finished product. That's actually the finished image of that file. So we'll go back in, and I'll go back into styles, and I will select one of these. So that's the, so these are all black and white simulations, and these are just the simulations if you were to use a filter with them. So the green one makes the Mont Saint Michel quite dark. I'll go with the red one. Okay, so this image was shot with grads on the sky. So I used grads on the sky. I think I also used a polarizer to see through the reflection here, so I could get these lovely patterns. So yeah, first of all, I will actually have some work done to it there, so I'm going to reset that. So we'll reset that. So that's it. That's the raw file. So obviously I've straightened it. That's the first thing. I'm going to straighten it. I use Capture One for my editing. I personally, I was a big Lightroom user. I just find that I can get away more out of Capture One than I can with Lightroom. Now I do hop back and forward. I do use both. Quite often you can be editing in one program and you know, you feel you're getting nowhere. So I'm going to take up the exposure. So I'm watching the histogram. Take up the exposure to there. It's very easy, you know, when we take out the contrast, it's very easy to add contrast back in. Just open the shadow slightly, and we take down the whites just to protect that down there. Okay, so if we go and look at the image in Photoshop, and we go back to here, okay. I can't remember exactly what I did now, but thought process would be to take down the brightness level of here as far as just to balance it out. I think I'll also add a little bit of clarity that brings out the foreground. I think then I'll go into Photoshop. I think I'll take down the brightness level here. So this area is too bright, so we might do it here actually. We'll add a radial filter. I'm going to come across here. I want to take down that brightness. So it's happening outside. So everything that's in red, the adjustment will happen outside. So I want to invert that, make it happen inside. So now the adjustment I'm making, that's the way the masks on here work. I'm pretty sure they work the same on Lightroom. So I want to take down just the exposure there. Okay. So I'm going to take it into Photoshop. From there, edit with Photoshop 24. There are no set rules for editing. It's all, for me personally, it's all about feel. Will I be able to reproduce this? I do not know, but we'll try. Okay, I'm going to have a look at levels adjustment. Okay, just leave him alone at the second. I'm going to make a selection, and I'm going to do levels adjustments top and bottom. I refine the edge, usually by about 160, and I'm going to do a I just flattened that. That shouldn't have happened. So I'm going to select the top of the image, and I'm going to do a levels adjustment there. So refine the edge, output to selection. Okay, that's what happened. We'll do a levels adjustment. Okay, so that levels adjustment won't actually work. Well, it will. That's just a small bit. I might bring in a bit of tone there. We'll just do the same in the bottom. Select, reselect, select, inverse, mask it the same, feather it the same, and do a levels adjustment here. So this is where we're going to introduce some tone into the image. We'll do a levels. So these two are going to create the tone here in the front. That's it. Okay, we're kind of moving in the right direction. Needs a lot of work yet, but moving in the right direction. Okay, so we've just flattened. I flatten as I go if I'm happy. Okay, so I use TK masks, and I use the masks for working just this very same as I just did there with levels. It allows me to pick, you know, the darks, 1 to 6 darks, 1 to 6 brights, and these are the mid-tones. I find these guys in particular for mid-tone contrast very, very useful. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the blacks. So this is all the blacks, so anything that's in white will be adjusted. So I might go to 2 and just do a levels adjustment. So you can see there's quite a bit of information there. And we'll just bring back the mid-tones. That's too much. Just go like that. You can see where I'm going. Maybe bring... Okay. Just flatten that. I'm going to do the brights. 2. I'm going to do a curve on these. And the curve, we'll just bring that down there slightly. Get that up there. It's what I'm looking for is this area to brighten really around the church. Okay. If we see the histogram, we're not clipping anything. A little warning sign there, so we're keeping back. So the reason I did a curve here is because levels would not have worked. I couldn't have pushed the white point in, but I can lift up the curve because there is no information over here. I'll just flatten that again. Okay, I'm still not happy with the brightness here along there, so I'm going to just dodge that down, or burn it down actually. Burn. So burn mid-tone 3%, and we're just going to take down just the brightness, just that area. That's it. That's a little bit dark there, so I'm going to dodge that. Just take out the shadows, just to try and match it up here. I'm just going to, because that might draw the eye. Basically, that's my concern. And just take away the shadows in there, just the deep shadows. Okay, we're getting somewhere, and we'll dodge and burn this after. Okay. Getting there. Okay. So the next thing is, I'm pretty sure I used a detail extractor on the front of this on a layer. So we create a layer, filter, Nick, color effects, and we're going to use the detail extractor. This one, contrast. Okay, so there's good detail there, before and after. So I'm just going to apply that. Okay, so essentially I don't want it like that. So we're going to put in a white mask, make that disappear. So if you hit Alt and hit the mask, that makes that disappear. So what we're looking for down here are the dark tones. So I'm going to try and select just the dark tones. and anything that's white is selected. Okay, so I go back to the last one. So you can see now down here I've plenty of white, so they're actually the dark tones because this is the dark, so the dark area. So we'll hit select, and now I have a black mask. If I paint with a white brush, we'll just take the opacity up. So B for brush is a shortcut. Take the opacity up, and if you watch the mask here, it'll start to go white. When I release, I'm only painting in the dark areas for the contrast. That's coming in lovely there. So yeah, okay, we'll leave that at that. That's pretty good. Have a look at the other one. It's still a bit dark, but I created some gradients after. So the next thing I want to do is I want to graduate the sky. So I'll show you how I do that. So I use, so I just have to, what we'll do is we'll flatten that as we go to keep it simple. So the reason this thing is has a line around it is because there's a selection. So if you're going to select, you can go deselect, or over here, this is my deselect on the TK panel. There you go. So I use another panel. It's called Artisan Pro. It's belonged to Joel Tintler. I use it for various bits and pieces, but one thing I like using it for is using kind of gradients. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a gradient, and we make a selection just to show you. And I'm going to overdo this now so you can see the you can see what happens. I'm going to depth. So I'm basically creating a gradient, and I'm going from top to bottom. So these are the different strengths. I can create a dark one, a medium one, a light dark one. I can lighten by clicking, or I can darken. So let's say we'll darken, and we'll click darken, and you should see immediately that it just darkens. If I click again, it'll darken again, and again, and again, and again. So what I like about this is it creates, you know, it's very hard to create a gradient like that in Photoshop. Joel has this built into his panel. So I am just going to use my quick actions here in the TK, and I'm just going to delete the layers one by one. It saves me coming down and dropping them. I can just click and go back. So again, I have the area selected. We'll go into the panel, and we will just hit darken. And we might do another one, but so what we'll do is I'm going to change that now. I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to make my selection a little bit further down to there. I'm going to hit darken. Okay. Now I'm going to make another selection up there, and I'm going to hit darken medium. Okay, so you can kind of see now where I was getting that sky. I'm going to come down to the bottom, make a selection down there, and this time I'm going to go bottom to top, and I'm going to go darken like that. Okay, getting there. And we'll go, make it smaller, and we'll go darken. That's it. So we'll flatten that just for as we go. select, deselect. Okay, I think we're getting there. A lot brighter across here. So that's for, why is that? It's a lot brighter across there in tones, but it's not showing on the histogram. So what we will do is we'll make a selection. I'll make a selection across here, maybe just there for a start, and I'll feather it, usually by my 150, and I just want to kind of, all I want to do really is just to lift that area. So we'll do a curve, and I can do a curve here. Yeah, just lift it. So we're lifting the curve. So this is the mid-tones. We can put it down there. Yeah, you can put it down there a little bit. Because I feel it was a little bit dull in there. Flatten image. Now the next thing I want to do is let me have a look. Okay. So it's a lot brighter here on top. I think it's a bit of dodging and burning now left, I think, basically. So dodging and burning the old-fashioned way. So shadows. So if we go to shadows, we can lighten the church. So the shadows, so I'm set to 6%. Just lighten the mount really. Okay. So now to create some contrast, I'm going to lighten some areas and leave other areas dark. So the other thing I'm going to do is I also want to come down to the wall. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to just dodge along here. And all I'm doing here is creating, I'm lightening, but I'm creating just that little bit of separation from the tones that are above it. And when you create separation, you create kind of a three-dimension feel, and that's basically what I'm doing. So command and minus. So now if we command and plus, if we go back and look on the history, we will see I started dodging, and where I am now, you can see that I've separated out that area there. Now we're going to go up into here, and I'm going to dodge some areas here also. So probably the lighter areas, and it just gives it that three-dimensional feel. Personally, I don't feel there's any right or wrong way to be doing it. It's, when it comes to black and white or any image, for me it's all about feel. It's about how I want to present it. It doesn't have to be how it was, you know. I think that gives us too many restrictions. I think we're too worried about what other people are going to think about us. You know, give yourself that freedom. So gone away over 5 minutes, but what I'm looking for here is just that three-dimensionality. It is a word, I looked it up. That was they were doing some work here and they had built that over the, you know, it doesn't detract from the image. So I might go in and darken this down, just the roof there. Command and minus. So that should stand out a little bit better. starting to take shape. Okay. I'm actually going to darken down the whites. So I'm going to burn the whites. So I think 3%. Just a few clicks. A few clicks. And we're going to burn some highlights in for more 3D. Just brushing over. Careful, you don't go into the sky up here. Oh, I didn't want to do that there now, so I'll go back 2 steps. Back there. Yeah, and that just gives, it makes it stand out more. So, Command and minus. You're just creating that 3D feel, really. You know, just by lightening and darkening certain areas. Okay, we're almost done. I think I took him out. I think Command and plus. So I did tidy up a couple of things. So we're going to use what is this called? The remove tool. Finding the remove tool is very good. So there's a few birds actually around there. So we'll just click, 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 click. We'll take him out. Take that out. Take out this. And looks pretty good. So that one. So and that one, just a few. Again, I find this panel very, very good. If I just want to view this, just hit that there, takes it up full screen. Do the same with the other one. Full screen. I can step back in history. I can turn off selections. I can go to the bin very fast. So that's the one we were starting with. Not too far off. Did a small bit of straightening. All right, maybe is my original one crooked? I don't think so. Command and minus. I think that's it. Yeah. I could probably darken it down more in the foreground. Yes, I did. F. Yeah, darken it down a little small bit in the foreground. So quite often what I would do there is I would, if I wanted to create vignettes quickly, I would use the camera raw, and here there's a shortcut for camera raw. I would use a radial filter. Minus, make it smaller, and I would use a radial filter. Hang on, what's going on there? Add radial, and I would go outside. So again, like capture one, everything that's in red is where the effect is being applied. So I only want the effect to be applied down here, so you can almost see where the gradient is going to be affected. Just take that up because we don't want anything on the sky. Just like that. Let me take down the exposure. And there's my gradient on the bottom. Yeah, just helps to draw the eye. That's how I do it. So make your radial filter bigger, and you can drag it around in, gives you control. So yeah, that's it. I hope that helps. kind of demystifies maybe how I did my black and white edit. They're all different. Sometimes I might go into SilverFX Pro and look at a preset. But more often than not, they're by feel. And yeah, I was really pleased with this image. It turned out really well. Actually, I have that printed. And the other thing also is, when you're pushing and pulling tones in the sky, you need to make sure that you're working with a 16-bit file. If you're not working with a 16-bit file, it's going to break up. You're going to get bending, more bending than anything. You can probably just see. I think there's bending there, but that was probably a little bit of cloud that was in the sky. But you can get bending very, very easily, so you need to be very careful. And I always work in 16-bit file anyway. But if you're ever pushing tones and they're breaking up, it could very well be because you're not working in 16 bits. Sometimes when you come from Photoshop, or if you haven't used Photoshop for a while, if you're inside in Camera Raw, and if you don't take enough notice of it, the file down the bottom could be export. There's a little setting down the bottom, and it says export as. Just see, can we find that? Where is that? No, it's when you bring in a raw file. Cancel. I'll just see if I can bring in a raw file there into, we'll say, edit down. Open with, I think open with does it. And it's down here. So you can see there. This is where you get to change it, 16-bit. So if you're in 8 bits, that could be where it all goes wrong. It's right there. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helps. And yeah, thanks for watching.